Hey guys, I'm Amie Nemec, co-owner of Texas Wine Lover. We are the place to go if you are trying to discover Texas wines. So our website is txwinelover.com, and we have our new free mobile app available on Apple and Android. So if you don't already know us, you should check us out, and it's a good way to know all 510 wineries in the state of Texas. So I'm here in downtown Fredericksburg at Cabernet Grill. This is one of the hot spots in Fredericksburg for dinner, and they actually have the largest list of Texas wines available for you to enjoy with your dinner or even take a bottle home. Cabernet Grill started in 2001, and the team here, Ross Burtwell and his wife Mariana, are the chefs, and they are always cooking up something delicious. He actually made us chocolate chip cookies this morning. They were still warm. So if you can't tell, I love this place, and it should definitely be on your list if you are in Fredericksburg. So we're here with Janet Miertschin with Portree Cellars, which is one of the newest wineries to open in the Hill Country. So Janet, thanks for taking the time. You already have grapes arriving, so thank you for stepping out of the cellar and stopping the press process so that you could come talk to us today.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you decided to be a winemaker.
Well, I was working for a large petrochemical company, managing the North America polypropylene business. So basically making and selling plastic pellets to different companies.
That's really glamorous.
Yes, very well. Yeah, I guess. Had some elements similar to the wine industry. You're making and selling, marketing things, got supply chain, but maybe not quite as sexy as selling wine. And it's just not quite the sensorial product that you get with wine. So.
And not the same, history and reach around the world, I guess. So what drove you to pursue wine?
Well, I've always been interested in wine. My husband and I, from early on in our marriage, we traveled around and always enjoyed wine and food. My husband made wine early in our marriage, just, jug wine and stuff. So we've always been interested in it. And then I think just as we've gotten further in our careers, like, what do we want to do next? And it's just been always there in the background. And so having something here in the Hill Country and connecting with the wine industry just felt very, very comfortable. And we started planting grapes, and then we met the folks at Kerrville, and we were like, oh, we could learn, from a variety of people, and building a tasting room. I don't know, it just all kind of happened. And it just feels like it's happened very quickly, but it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. So you're similar to Serrano Wines in a way, because it's a project for you and your husband together.
Mm-hmm.
But as the wife, you are actually the one pursuing the winemaking aspect of things. Different from Bryce and Sarah, you guys had your first careers and then shifted into a new career later in life.
Yes.
And you are working with, you mentioned Kerrville, so you're working with John Rivenberg and Kerrville Hills Winery, where he has what he calls an incubator program.
Yes.
So he takes in young whippersnappers like yourself who think you want to get into winemaking, and you are actively hands-on making wine under his guidance and with the help of the other winemakers that are also making their wine there, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little different concept here in Texas, but it seems genius to me because you're not having to rely on your own mistakes or your own insecurities, maybe.
Yeah, you get to watch other people make mistakes.
And you go.
And then you go, oh, I don't want to do that.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, no, it is a great learning environment because you touch so many people's wine.
Yeah.
You're there in the cellar throughout harvest, and there's just a lot of learning opportunities, how to solve problems, how to navigate all the changes that occur during harvest. And everybody has a different way to skin the cat, as they'd say. And so you get to see other people make their wine, and everybody does it a little different, but you're all trying to get the same end game.
How many of you are there?
I think he has something like a dozen or so clients.
Just curious how many feet
Yeah.
are walking around.
Yeah. Well, and it depends on the day. Right
Yeah.
now, it's a little bit quieter because it's the beginning of
Yeah.
harvest, but you get into August and September, it's buzzing. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets busy. So while you have been making the wines there in the facility, it's all been in preparation for opening your own facility.
Yes.
And I've had the pleasure of tasting wine with you in your barn and encouraging you to start outdoor seating, even though your construction on the actual winery and tasting room isn't complete. So you guys are on Sandy Road, which is going to be a little closer to Johnson City. You're only about a half mile off of 290, right?
Yes. Yes.
And right now you're doing outdoor tastings under the beautiful oak trees overlooking the vineyard.
Yes.
And you're open just on Saturdays right now, is that right?
Yes.
What's the ETA for your actual building?
November.
Wow, okay.
They're making very good progress. They've got AC.
Which means January.
Well, I don't know. They've stayed on track. Well, we're already a little bit later than we thought because we had some bumps along the way getting going.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've got electrical in and AC and going to be putting drywall in pretty quickly. So
Awesome.
it feels like we're making really good progress. Yeah. So fingers crossed. We'll see.
Congratulations. So you're planning for tastings in the tasting room by the end of the year, hopefully?
Yes. Yes.
And then production in your own space for
Yes.
the 24 harvest?
Well, we'll see. We'll see what the timing is. But yeah, I've got a one of the things I've done along the way is taking classes at Texas Tech, and so enology, and so one of the classes you have to design your own production facility. So I've got something that's probably 80-90% of what I think I want. And again, working in Kerrville, you can kind of bounce those ideas off of people, and you've used the pumps, you use the tanks, you kind of got some experience of what you do and don't like. So hopefully that'll make it a little bit more streamlined in terms of deciding how we want to construct that. So we've got the plan. We just got to, step forward into the future, all these new things.
Well, and it's not just the building being complete. Then you've got to actually start buying the equipment and laying it out in the logical way that it's going to help you produce the wine smartly, right?
Yeah.
And you have the luxury of several of the incubator folks having moved on and done their own tasting room, so you
Graduated.
can go. There you go. There you go. Become their own grown-ups, and you've got the luxury of being able to go see their spaces and pick their brains about whether they're happy with what they did or what they might do differently. So that's huge, I think.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So being in that environment with the 10 or 12 different winemakers and the people that come to help out, have you noticed things a little harder or a little easier for you as a woman?
I haven't really noticed a difference between being a woman or a man. There's a mix of different ages, both male and female, different kinds of backgrounds. I think it's a really good environment for people that come in brand new. I have to admit, the first day I showed up 3 years ago, I had my piece of paper and pencil, and I thought I was going to watch somebody make my wine. And I was going to take notes, and they were like, "Put that down. Go hook that pump up to that tank. We're going to sandy line. We're going to do this, that, and the other." And I'm like, I don't know what they just said.
Yeah.
But it was very much a learning, all hands on deck learning opportunity, which I love. And so I just kind of leaned into that and have learned a lot. And by the end of the season, I was teaching people how to do some things. So I felt like, oh, I actually did learn something here along the way. So that's
awesome.
It's been a lot of fun.
Do you think your background, kind of coming from big business, if you will, and then taking a step into this different field, I didn't see the pun I did there. Because you do have vines on your property. Do you think that background in big business has helped you? Do you think you're more assertive, or you know more of what you want that makes it a little easier for you at this stage?
I mean, I guess coming in later in my career, perhaps you have some life experiences that maybe other people don't have. And I definitely, my background has some manufacturing experience. So there's an element of that in winemaking and some chemistry, obviously. But you're also dealing with people, right? And people are people everywhere. And so I think, I think it's helped overall. But I think just about anybody could walk in and fit in if they have the passion for winemaking.
Yeah. So you talked about you and your husband both having a passion for wine for a long time. Is there a particular wine, a particular grape that you're really excited about right now? Like your wine of the moment?
Well, my wine of the moment, I guess, has to be Fiano, right?
Awesome.
And that is because when we were looking to plant, probably a couple of years ago, we were trying to figure out what white grape to plant. So we took some classes, tasted through a bunch of different wines, and looked at some wines from Italy and central Italy, and Fiano was one of them. And we got some imported Fiano. Couldn't find anything in the Texas industry, but we thought, well, what the heck? If we can get some vines, we'll plant it. It's about the same, the Med, Texas, surely this will work. And so we planted a couple acres. And then in the meantime, we met some great folks out in Brownfield that are growing Fiano.
Pepper Jack?
Yes, Pepper Jack. And love both those guys and their families. And so was able to get some grapes from them, and then made a wine that did really well out in California. And a lot of friends and family have been very encouraging with us on that. And so I think it's, for us, it has a little bit of a special story. And so we really, I hate to say I like all the wines. It's like children, right? You like them all, right? But that one has a little bit of a history in terms of our introduction to it and then introducing it into our portfolio.
And when you say it did well in California, you're referring to the San Francisco Chronicle Wine Competition, which is one of the most revered competitions in the world. And your Fiano placed
best in class.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was our first competition that we entered. And so
and I think the class is other whites.
Yeah.
So whites that there's not enough entries for it to have its own category. So Sauvignon Blanc are all by themselves, but Fiano might be next to Gewürztraminer or something else, which you also have.
Yes. Next contest.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
So tell me a little bit about the property. How many acres and what do you have under vine and what is coming in the future?
Okay. We have 28 acres property, and we have 7 and actually planted. We're harvesting our first this year. So we had, I guess 3 years ago, third year. We've got Mourvèdre, about an acre of that, Aglianico and Malvasia Bianca. And then we've got 2 acres of Tannat, 2 acres of Fiano, and then an acre of Touriga Nacional. So we'll probably plant another acre or 2 once the tasting room's done, kind of up closer to the tasting room, but we're kind of waiting for the dust to settle literally so we can figure out where that last piece will go.
Get all that equipment out of the way. And
we're buying from a lot of different growers in the state. We've been very blessed with some fantastic farmers that we're dealing with, and we're going to continue to buy from them and just add on with our estate grapes. So
awesome. And what is your plan in terms of production? Are you looking at,
that's
what you have now versus what you think your end game is?
Oh, that's such a good question. When we first started this, we thought, oh, we'll just do like 1,000 cases, and then it was like, well, we kind of probably ought to do 2,000 cases. And then you start talking to people, it's like, well, you need at least 5,000 cases. And then you're talking to people, and oh, you got to be 10,000. And you're like, well, what is that? So it's a hard question to answer. Last season, I did about 70 tons of grapes. So it was a little less than 4,000 cases equivalent. A lot of it's red, so a lot of it's in barrel. We're starting to bottle some of that now.
Awesome.
So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I can make a prediction on where it's going to go.
There's that economy of scale. There's a certain point, and you get the benefit of this from your previous life. But you've got to balance what is tolerable versus what's practical versus what is profitable, right?
Yes.
And so being able to be flexible, I think, is going to help you in that regard.
Yeah.
So on that note, what do you like best about being a winemaker?
I like the creativity involved. Okay. I think making wine is a science and an art, and so it's really important to know the science and follow that. But I really like the art part of it. I like the creativity in terms of trying new, different varietals, different styles. The pet nat we're doing this year, I almost hesitate to say we're doing it because I'm like, I hope it works out. But it's something new and different, and so I'm super excited about that. Last year we did a Gewürztraminer, and I really was very excited. I got a couple of other varietals we're adding in this year. I know I should stay fewer SKUs, stay closer to, just a few wines, but it's really hard for me to do that because I like to.
Because it's exciting to try new things. Yeah.
So, so I like that. And I like meeting new people. I like the whole idea of different kinds of events and wine and food pairings and just, a lot of different, it just excites me, all the differences. I don't do well doing the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think wine in the wine business has a capability to kind of explore into a lot of different areas.
Well, people definitely say that when you own an estate vineyard and you are making your own wines, you have 3 different businesses happening at one time. So you will not get bored.
No,
You've
no.
got the farming of the vineyard. You've got the personal, consumer side of things with the tasting room and selling the wine. And then you have the actual production of making the wine. So
I don't do board very well, so.
Obviously, you need to stay busy. You're a multitasker, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
That's awesome. You mentioned food and wine pairing, and that's one of my biggest passions is being able to find a spectacular pairing. Do you have kind of a go-to favorite pairing that is sort of like
favorite? I don't know. Well, I think that, going back to the Fiano, I think the Fiano has that bright acidity. Anything creamy, like with a fish dish, creamy, lemony sauce, I think is really great. But there's things in our wine like the Alianico, doing something like a venison type dish. It's a great pairing too. So I think just about any wine, you put it with the right food and it comes alive in my mind. So.
Same with me. I think it's my superpower.
It's a good superpower to have.
I'm not saving the world, but I'll make everything taste better.
Everybody will feel better.
Exactly. Any advice you have for someone who thinks they want to get into winemaking?
I think you just have to be willing to lean in, right? And it's a very immersive type thing, and maybe decide what part you want to participate in. I mean, like you say, there's different aspects of it. You don't have to do all of it. Working in the cellar is a great place to start if you have the time and inclination to do that.
Just don't come with a notepad and pen.
Yeah. Well, you can come, but be prepared to put it aside pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's the Texas wine industry. I fell in love with. I knew that it was the right thing for me when I met people, and they're just very welcoming, very open to share their advice, their insights, their history.
Yeah.
It's a great industry to be part of, and so I met them, and it's like drank the Kool-Aid, and it's like I'm all in.
A friend of mine in the industry has used the word synergy, that there's a lot of synergy in the Texas wine industry, whether it's between, tasting room staff or winemakers or growers.
Yes.
There's a lot of sharing of information. There's a lot of, giving a helping hand. And I like that we still have that we haven't progressed to the next stage of everyone seeing everyone as competition.
Yeah.
I think, yes, there's a lot of competition on 290, obviously, but keep making good wine and you'll hold your own,
Yeah. Well, I kind of think of the competition's not in the state, right?
Yeah. Good point.
I just I'd like to see Texas continue to raise the bar in Texas wine. So people come to Texas for great Texas wine. Wine, right? So
exactly. And we need more Texans buying Texas.
Yes. And so as we raise the bar and people recognize that it's quality, they'll come. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Tell us a little bit about the wines that are on your menu right now. If someone comes out for a tasting experience, at the moment they'd be seated outside. So maybe earlier in the day or later in the day, and not 3 o'clock is probably.
The good thing about our vineyard is it's located where there's always a bit of a breeze. It's under a lot of oak trees, and as hot as it's been outside, it's been pretty pleasant actually, which has been, and we've not had a lot of rain, which we probably need some rain right now, but it's been a great experience. Right now, there's grapes on the vines, so this is a great time to come out, and to see it. And so we've been trying to rotate wines a little bit on the menu so people can kind of come out and get something different.
Okay.
Right now we've got a Marsanne from Hoover Valley. So got fruit from them just before William Chris bought them. And
So that's the
Uplift.
vineyard now called Uplift, where
Yes.
Claire is making
Yes,
wines.
that's right.
So
That's
the
right.
Marsanne is, I believe she's blended with the Roussanne.
Yes.
But they don't have a plan for this year just yet. So we'll
Yes.
see how 23 shapes up.
Yes. So ours is 100% Marsanne, and it's done very well. Lovely wine. Fiano is on the menu. We've also got a couple different rosés. We'll rotate in and out, a Sangio rosé as well as a Mourvedre rosé. Then we've got an Aglianico, 2020, a Tempranillo, also a red blend. Most of our wines are single varietal. We have one blend, and there's some wonderful blends out there. And I think I like being able to make wine. If you can make it single varietal, you get the expression of that grape. If it's a really good grape, and be able to take it all the way to the end to get to wine. And if it comes from an AVA and from a vineyard and you can designate those, what better way to give the grower the kudos for having grown some great grapes too.
Yeah.
So almost all of our wines right now, at least, are single varietal and single vineyard designated, if you will.
Awesome. I like that. And when you have all of your 6 or 7 acres online and producing, do you think you'll continue to buy some fruit from elsewhere in the state?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we'll definitely need more than that.
And right now you are sourcing from both the High Plains and the Hill Country,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah, some great growers out there. So very, very blessed to be aligned with some of them. So.
Yeah, for sure. Pepper Jack is where the Montepulciano came from that I made my first Texas wine from.
So you know.
I know them. Exactly. Awesome. Any parting thoughts or last things you want to share in terms of?
Drink Texas wine. That's all I can say.
Absolutely.
Drink more Texas
Drink more
wine.
Texas wine. There you go. Thanks, Janet. Appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Sure. Thank you for having me.